Hey there, and welcome. Ever find yourself driving down a highway, just cruising along, and wonder, how did this get here? The story of the road is something we totally take for granted, but it's this incredible journey of ingenuity, massive empires, and a few twists you'd never expect. So, let's get right into it, starting with a really simple question. Okay, right off the bat, what do you think? The road, or the thing we think roads are for? The wheel. Now, be honest, your gut probably says the wheel, right? It makes sense. But the real answer? Well, it's a whole lot more interesting. And there it is. The footpath came first, by about 6,500 years, which is just wild when you think about it. For millions of years, since we first stood up on 2 feet, we were basically wanderers. We followed our food. There was no home to build a permanent road back to. The whole idea of a path you use over and over just wasn't really a thing. Yet.
So, that brings us to our first big chapter here, A Path Before Wheels. This is a story that starts way before anyone even dreamed up a cart. It's all about how that basic human need to connect with each other literally carved the first walkways into the face of the planet.
Okay, so picture this. About 10,000 years ago, everything changes. We start farming, we build villages, and all of a sudden, we have neighbors. And you gotta visit your neighbors, right? You need to trade, you need to socialize, and the simple act of people and their animals walking the same routes over and over and over again literally wore the first footpaths into the earth. They often followed rivers or other landmarks so they wouldn't get lost. These were our very first commuters.
And you know what? We got clever, fast. What's so cool about this part of the story is how different people solve their own local problems. Out in England, you had swamps to deal with, so they built wooden plank roads to get across. In the ancient city of Ur, they needed real streets, so they paved them with stone. And the Egyptians, wow, they built these incredible, specialized roads just to haul the massive stones for the pyramids. This wasn't just a trail in the woods anymore, this was the beginning of infrastructure.
Now, those early innovations were amazing, for sure. But then, one empire came along and just changed the whole game. You absolutely cannot have a conversation about the history of roads without talking about the undisputed champions of ancient construction, the Romans.
To the Romans, roads were power. It's as simple as that. They knew you couldn't just conquer a place. You had to be able to supply it, to move your legions quickly. But here's the unintended and maybe even more important consequence. These military highways became the arteries of the empire. They moved goods, culture, and new ideas. They created a connected world in a way no one had ever seen before.
And this is how they did it. Roman roads were just built to last. They didn't mess around. They dug deep, packed the foundation, and then built it up in layers. Big stones, then gravel and cement, then a paved top. They even angled the surface and added gutters so water would drain off. This layered design was so unbelievably good that it stayed the absolute pinnacle of road technology for more than 1,200 years.
Just look at that number. 250,000 miles. That is an absolutely staggering amount of road. This network was the glue that held their entire empire together. From the cold shores of Britain all the way to the deserts of Iraq. It literally shaped the map of modern Europe.
But after Rome fell, so much of that brilliant engineering know-how was just lost. For centuries, road building pretty much went stagnant. It wasn't until the Renaissance, the scientific revolution, got people thinking again, that we finally started to rediscover the science behind building a good road. The next huge breakthrough came from a Scottish engineer named John Macadam. He looked at the Roman method, which was basically all about brute force, using these massive stones at the bottom. And he thought there has to be a smarter, more scientific way. He figured out that it wasn't about big, heavy stones. It was about using smaller, correctly sized stones in layers to distribute the weight of traffic evenly. It was physics, not just muscle. And of course, this new method was named Macadam, after him. And get this, the guy was obsessed with the details. He told his workers that the stones had to be just the right size. And his rule of thumb was, if you don't have a way to measure it, a stone should be small enough to fit inside your mouth. That's how much the precision mattered. Macadam's roads were fantastic, a total revolution for the age of horses and buggies. But of course, history keeps moving, and a noisy, fast, disruptive new invention was chugging its way onto the scene, ready to tear everything up and create a whole new problem. Yep, enter the automobile. Those fast-spinning rubber tires acted like little vacuums, just sucking the small stones right out of the Macadam roads. They created these enormous, choking clouds of dust. The very thing that made the roads great for horses made them a total nightmare for cars. Something had to be done. The solution came from a guy named Macadam, who had a classic aha moment in 1901. He saw a spot on the road where some tar had accidentally spilled, and that one patch was hard, smooth, and completely dust-free. So we thought, wait a minute, what if we add tar to Macadam's stone mix on purpose? He used it as a binder, rolled it all smooth, and voila! He combined tar and macadam and gave us the tarmac we still drive on today.
So, if you step back and look at it, we've gone from simple dirt paths to the stone superhighways of an empire, and finally to the smooth, black tarmac of the modern world. And every single leap forward was a direct answer to a new challenge, a new human need. And the growth, the sheer scale of it all, is just mind-boggling. The Roman network of 250,000 miles was the wonder of the ancient world. But today, a single country like India has over 2 million miles of roads. It's just a stunning visual of how central these networks are to everything we do now.
So, here's the real takeaway. The road beneath your tires isn't just a slab of concrete or asphalt. It is a physical timeline of human history. It's a story of us solving one problem after another, with each generation literally paving the way for the next one.
And that brings us to right now. We've gone from footpaths to superhighways, but the innovation is nowhere near done. It really makes you wonder, what's next? What will the road of the future look like? Will it charge our cars as we drive? Will it be made of materials that heal themselves? I don't know, but one thing is for sure, the story of the road is far from over. Thanks for joining me on this journey.